Hey everybody, we're here at our record store that our family opened 26 years ago, which means we're starting year 27. I also write music interviews as a side gig, and I interview a ton of artists. And today we're going to be talking with one of our favorites, punk legend Mike Watt. He did a tribute record to Miles Cooper Seton a few years ago with his band that I cannot even begin to pronounce, so I won't. But it's a couple of really cool guys from Italy that he collaborates with, and here we go. This project is dedicated to Miles Cooper Seton. Tell me about Miles.
He's a friend of us. The last time we all three toured together, he joined us for a few gigs. It was my first time getting to meet him, but these guys go way back with him. Well, one guy's not here. He couldn't make the interview, so the drummer man. But both the drummer man and the guitar man here, Stefano Pilia, Andrea Belfi, are old friends, Miles Cooper Seton.
Miles, he lived in Italy for quite a long time. Quite a long time. He was coming and going from the States, but he was spending a lot of time in Italy. Especially was spending a lot of time near Verona with some friends, a band called C+C, and he was in touch with Andrea and with me. So he was spending a lot of time in Bologna as well with me, and in Berlin with Andrea. So it happened at a certain point where, by the time we were going on tour with the Sogno del Marinaio to tour Canto Secondo, he came with us and he opened some gig for us with his incredible set, guitar and voice mainly, and then we ended up to get closer and closer, spending more time here in Bologna, and we also did some music with him, which has never been released yet. We might do it, and that the three of us, me, Mike, and Andrea, recorded separately, but he was producing it and taking care of the mixing and the whole vision.
It was a big piece. It was like a 9-10 minute piece.
Fantastic. Okay. Yeah. That's it. I read in the press release, each of you guys created a song for this project. Can each of you tell me what you created?
Mine was the man next to me in the van, because remember, I'm the last guy to meet him, and it's during this tour. So we meet him in Torino, and he's riding with us. And that's how I got to meet him while we were driving. A European tour, you usually do a country at a time. So we were in the Italy part, so maybe 5-6 gigs. I think it was Christian, Scary Monster was doing
exactly.
The gig. Right. The promoter man also traveled with us.
Yeah.
And he had a history with Miles Cooper too, because he had played, like I said, Patel Stay was telling you, he had been there for years before. And, he was a young man, I think, when he first came over. He ends up in California, and that's where the automobile accident, the brakes went out in his truck, and that's how he lost his life. I think he was only 44, 45.
Gosh.
I remember, I think every one of us to write this, each of us proposed to each other a piece, to tribute him, and every one of us, I think, connected to a part of a memory he had with him somehow. And the one I did, one which is called once we spoke about horns, because I remember we were listening to some music and Miles, some music that I wrote that was for a solo project of mine, and Miles was telling me, I could really hear some horns in this section, and then we spent all night about hearing music that was based on horns, and we shared how much we liked that sound. So that was my was my contribution to distribute.
Yeah, the way a lot of times the way we work is because, especially living far apart, so one guy will bring the idea that the other two guys can join in on. So there's 3 songs on this 7-inch tribute to Miles Seaton. So each of us brings that primary idea. Then the other 2 guys come on to add their parts. So it ends up all 9 of roles, but they're individually started.
Yeah, I was going to touch on that later about how you guys accomplished this. It didn't sound like you guys got in a room and just pounded it out, old school style.
No, it's one guy's a composer, and then the other guys listen. Hey, how do I fit in? How am I going to aid and abet? How am I going to make this Il Sogno di Marinaio? Because it is a band. We've actually been together since 2008, where we were together, in person to get the first stuff done. But after that, we've learned how to trade files over the internet. We can't play together over the internet. There's too much latency, but we can trade files. So it's almost like taking turns.
Mm-hmm.
And so when it comes to the original guy, he brings his composition, the other 2 cats here, then they bring what they got. And then that makes a final.
Yeah.
It's a trippy way of doing things, but why not?
Yeah, and Larry, to this, I would like to add that this is working for us better now because we've been on tour together, we play together, we share times together. We had the time to knew each other closely playing music. So this possibility of working at distance is also related to the base that is very based on connection, on a real connection that we had on tour, we had on being in a studio recording music and composing.
Now, how did the 3 of you come together to form a band?
He put it together.
Yeah, it's my fault.
It's my fault.
It's my fault. It happened in 2008 that a festival here in Emilia-Romagna region. I'm based in Bologna, which is in Emilia-Romagna. There was a festival organized by Arci Emilia-Romagna, and they asked me to present a collaboration. And so I asked Mike and Andrea to do something together. Why I asked them? I asked them because, well, with Andrea, I was playing with him since a long time, since beginning 2000, 2001. And I had the chance to meet Fratello Mike in 2005. He was touring with Second Man, his second opera. And I got on the boat on tour with them to help on the road. And we stay in touch. We got friends, and then when it happened, this possibility to present something, I thought this could be an interesting adventure to do it with this trio.
I see. Now, do you think this single has any chance of turning into a full album, or is this the end of the project once you put the 7-inch out?
Well, it's kind of tribute, right? So that's the focus, mainly to let people know about this great cat we lost. But Sogno di Marinaio actually has made 3 albums now and a few singles, a few EPs. And we got plans like this work that this extended piece, this 9-10 minute piece, we want to bring that to the world. And on the other side, probably each of us will bring a new song. That's what's interesting about the band. All 3 members are also composers.
I see.
Instead of like, one guy and then everybody comes around him. It's very equal in this band.
Yeah, and I know there's some differences. I mean, there's some geography that you guys have to get past. Do you think there's a chance you guys will tour behind this project?
We're thinking about a Europe tour a year from now.
Okay.
Or maybe less, maybe June, right? May, June.
Yeah.
Right. And it'll be unusual because actually there was a change in the band for the last tour. The drummers, people changed. And then we made a third album with this new drummer. But maybe for this tour, we do 4 guys, the 2 drummers, and us 2. So that's what we're looking at.
I'm sorry. I'm going to double back and talk about the recording of it. Mike, I know you've been in the business a long time.
Yeah.
Do you prefer doing things the way you do it with this band now, just trading files instead of just going in the studio and grinding it out?
I've done both with him. I actually started this trading stuff in the 80s. And I had a project called Dose. It was just 2 basses. And the other bass player moved across the country. So I used the US mail and cassettes. But it's pretty much the same principle, not as fast. But you mail off the 4-track cassette and it's a means to an end. There are advantages and there are disadvantages. Of course, you don't have the human contact, but then you also got a lot less pressure. You can go back, you can work on it when you will. You can make mistakes, which don't have as much consequence or has more consequence when you're live in person with someone. So I think there's strengths and weaknesses of both ways. And at the end of the day, Larry, when the person listening, remember Frank Morgan in The Wizard of Oz? Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain. Well, he was behind the curtain. And he got there by accident, right? The balloon crashed or something. So sometimes you just don't know. Now, I hate to bring up the idea of the sausage factory, yeah, right. People are being
you really don't know what it's
yeah, right. But you really don't know until if it tastes good, right? You like it. Hopefully, things are kosher. But I see it as a means to an end, and there's pluses and minuses. The music is a special thing, and if you find ways to do it, even if things are in the way, like distance, time, go for it. 'Cause that's special, I think.
You had mentioned there's 3 composers in the band. Now, do you mix and master this thing yourselves, or do you bring in an outside producer?
We ask, Typo Sandra, Tim Lewis to mix it.
Right. This guy lives in Wales.
Lives in Wales. We record it separately, of course. But then the third album that we record with Paolo, so not with Andrea, the other drummer, that we record the core of it in San Pedro at San Pedro, California, where Fratello Mike lives.
The studio.
Yeah.
And then back and they added tracks from Italy. So sometimes it's a combination, Larry. Some of it's in person and then some of it's remote too. Like this project here was purely remote, but sometimes do a hybrid. There's a little bit of each. And then we have this 4th guy, Tim, in Wales, mix it because, he's got a perspective. Sometimes, the forest for the trees thing. Sometimes you're just too close, and so why not a little healthier perspective?
All right. Are the 3 of you guys dedicated to this project through the end of the year, or do you have anything else going on?
Oh yeah, we got lots going on. We're
individually or?
Well, not together. Yeah, individually. To be a music person in this world, unless you won the lotto, you have to work hard at it. So that means a lot of a lot of pans in the fire to say, you know what I mean? So like in 3 weeks, I'm going to go tour with this guy, Mike Baguetta. I'm going to do 58 gigs in 62 days, you know? But meanwhile, I got all these other things, you know, especially with the trade and files things. A lot of these guys I've never even met. I made whole albums with cats I'd never even met.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So those things are going. I think whenever you play, and I think the same with my brothers in this project, you're investing in the next time you play. So none of it's ever wasted. And we're kind of beyond this idea of genre and style. Music is music. So it all helps us on the next time we go to do music. So we got a lot of projects. So, and also different roles. Sometimes you're the shot caller. You're the composer. Sometimes you're the helper, man. You're taking direction.
Sometimes it's a lot easier to just sit back and let somebody else.
Well,
you know,
I think
drive
it's
the
healthier too, because if you're always the boss, you're not going to learn everything. You're always going to get your way. That's not real life. That's, you know, winning the lotto. But it's not a rich, full thing. It's good. Like whoever wrote those Shakespeare plays, you know, maybe it was the man himself. But this thing about life is many roles, it really is. Even with breathing, right? You inhale, you exhale. Nothing's one way. That's kind of a bizarre, abstract thing.
I agree. And I think.
Stefano, do you have?
Sorry, Larry.
Again?
Do you have more going on through the end of the year?
Yeah, I have some gigs. And out of the record. No, but I just what I wanted to add to this that just Mike said, that even if we come from, in a way, you know, we come from a different historic and genre background. But what I think the reason why we are making music and then we start to do music is that the spirit is very close. It's very close. It's just this research, this sense of research and freedom and openness to just not create your own things, but once you share this attitude, I think, and this open mind and this vibe and this way of making art and intent creativity, then you can there is a lot to share about that, I think. And it's not, the music we do is not about genre. It's not about, you know, it's not about that. And I think that's why we do very different things. For example, I come more from electroacoustic music. Some projects I will be involved soon is a trio guitar composition based on numbers and geometric figures. So it's a very, in a way, you could say it's a very different attitude from Il Sogno del Marinaio. But I think that the core that moved the creativity sense is something we have very common, and that's why I think we, with the Fratello Andrea and Fratello Mike, we immediately share together and made us possible to do some music.
Yeah, I agree.
I had one of the girls that worked here. She wanted to ask a question. She said, when you were first starting out, what made you pick the particular style that you play your instruments?
Well, for me, I think I started with the bass, like Fratello Mike. I was 13, and I just, you know, some friend of mine in little school passed me some cassette with the Zeppelin, with the Sex Pistols, and you know, all these bands that. I'm born in 78, so that's we are speaking about 86, 87, 90s, more or less. And I just, you know, this rebel sound that I love. And
Mixtape, you know, like friends make. Here's songs I like. Try that out.
Yeah.
This influence on you.
Yeah.
Me, I got involved with music to be with my friend. His mother made me play bass. This is 1970.
Really?
I was 12 years old, 1970, here in San Pedro. And she says, you're going to have a band This is the first day I meet him, right? He takes me to his house. It's the second day I meet him because first day I brought him to my house. So he brings him, and his mother says, "You're going to have a band and you're going to play the bass." And I didn't even know what a bass was.
Yeah.
But
It seemed to work out pretty well for you, though.
You know, it's trippy about life that way. I went and got a degree in electronics, like fixing TVs. You know, we were using slide rules. All that stuff got obsolete, but the bass thing kept going.
Yeah, that's a great story. Most of what I know about you, Mike, I got from a book called My Band Could Be Your Life.
That's a line in a song I wrote.
Exactly, and I thought it was apropos to mention that. That book's amazing. The Minutemen are in there. Forgot either.
Right.
Yeah.
Flag.
And I felt like really good representation of what you were all about.
I'm glad he wrote that book because at that point, everybody was saying, because Nirvana had just come out, right? So they were saying Sex Pistols, Nirvana, and there was nothing in between. Like, what? So I was very grateful to Michael for writing that book.
The three of you guys seem like a tight-knit group from what I've been able to see through emails and kind of trying to glean what you guys are all about. What binds the three of you together?
Music. And I think we dig each other.
That's pretty important because, not all bands can say that.
You're right. A lot of times you can see them develop it into, if they're successful, like a business arrangement or something. Mm-hmm. They don't even talk with each other. Mm-hmm. It's not that way with this band.
Gotcha. Okay. What would each of you like for people to know about your band?
Well, I can say that what Il Sogno del Marinaio means, which is the sailor dream. And Mike proposed this name for once because it was an Italian name, and for the fact that he was playing with two Italian guys, that was important. And the other one was because the sailor dream was a metaphor, of a sailor that that can travel through existence and creativity and find out and create things through a world that is not just rational, but is really more about the soul and the spirit.
Yeah.
So it's not about calculation. It's about a deeper expression of traveling and research. So I think that's the name of the band says a lot about what we try to do.
I like that.
Yeah, look, we're sailors with the dream.